here and doing the video. We're here and doing another video.
Ooh, burnt myself. You know, you burn yourself with an insect, you might need surgery. That shit's traumatic, bro.
This shit is. I'm like, what is that? But that's the
You know how I be. Had to break this shit down.
What a difference away.
So, Libra, relationships, air, the scale, Venus, a cardinal placement. All of these things mean something and it's pivotal to your reality. So if you've heard Libra before and just use it in reference to a birthday, that ain't what we talking about. So I'm just gonna explain relationships real quick, and then I'm gonna look for the comments and things of that nature to see if we have any questions and answers. Peace to you, Dion. Peace, everybody. And we just want to talk about relationships. So if you are with someone, bring them along, you know, have them sit down and listen to this with you, you know, and they might be into something, they might be watching TV and things of that nature, right? Enjoying themselves, and just be like, you know, pause it. And once this video is over, we're on our way to the crib. It'll take us like 30-45 minutes to get home. And you got the rest of the night, you got the rest of your life to talk to one another. Right now, we want to get into the science of relationships, and we want to have a particular question and answer. So let's just go through this. Libra is Latin for scales. The ruling energy of Venus is Venus, which it gives a feminine quality. The house that it rules over is the 7th house. So in your chart, when you have placements in the 7th house, this is your house of relationships. So you might be as strong in those areas, or if you have energies in Libra, that's the area of your chart where you can relate to a particular house. So if you have Libra in the 3rd house, you can relate very well in the form of communication. Now, this could be related to Western or Sidereal. It doesn't matter. If you can understand these concepts, then you are able to relate to one another. So the difference between relating and just simply existing is that if I can relate to you, then that means that I can offer you something that weighs out. The opposite of relationships would be the opposite sign, which is Taurus. Now, Taurus is very, is that right? Yeah, that don't make sense though. No, it's not Taurus, it's Aries. Okay, the opposite of relating is Aries. So what's the difference between a relationship and then Aries? Aries represents birth. So one of the relationship weaknesses that a baby has is really like relating to you, right? Like they don't have that quality yet. Like they don't talk to you. They just really just be like, yo, feed me, change me, you know, that, or just put me in my seat, or whatever the case may be. It's like overall they don't relate. But when we evolve, we learn to relate. We learn to build up partnerships, and this is mental. That's why the element is air. The reason that it's a cardinal sign is because it is a primary sign. It is a pivot in the chart. It is a major change in your life when you are able to mentally be able to relate. So we're not dealing with no emotion. We're not dealing with no attraction. We're not dealing with no love even. Because a relationship is as simple as going to the store for a glass of milk. Now, if you went into that if you went to the store and you went into that logic with the relationship of emotion, and you like, oh, I just really need this milk. Please give me this milk. I've been dying for this milk. It's been so long since I had this milk. the clerk will look at you like, all right, I give it to you for $5.99, right? That's a relationship that balances out, because then he's making a profit. He can buy more milk. He can take care of his family. You can take that milk home, drink it, and all you had to give was some money that you got off of a scam, right? But long story short, every relationship that's based on balance is able to grow. Any relationship that doesn't reach these scales, right, that doesn't make this actual key, like relating is mutual. Relating is not one-sided. You understand that? So when you understand that your ability to enter situations and keep it balanced and learn to grow a situation, then you're actually in a great point. Sometimes when we don't have our shit together, we'll enter a relationship, we'll enter an ecosystem, and we'll destroy and eliminate that balance. And because of that, the people within that ecosystem will begin to resent you. So with all of that being said, me and my wife is here because we want to ask questions, or not even ask questions, answer questions in relation to, relationships. Whether manifesting, keeping, maintaining, understanding, creating, manifesting, because for real, I know that I have a true and tried way to manifest a relationship. And this is not even a cap. Most people that hang around me, that deal with me, they eventually get into a relationship. That's not even a cap. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you just hung around me, you know what I'm saying? Or just talked to me or had a relation, like a bill with me. Cause relationships is more of a spirit, right? It's more of a energy. It's not necessarily like, cause I'm not the most beautiful person on the block, you feel me? But, I don't care. I feel like it. Cause it's more or less centered in your energy and more or less centered in your ability to tap into something that's much more powerful than you. So like we said earlier, we did this earlier on my wife's channel, and now John got her phone, so we're doing this on my channel, and hopefully we can trigger some Q&A, because like my wife said, these conversations are not necessarily for us, and they might not necessarily be for you, but it might be for somebody. Because generally it's not what you know, it's who you know, and it's not always in the space of romanticism or the realms of emotional. It's as simple as walking into a store, and the store being the universe, and the universe is saying, what type of relationship can I afford? Right? And whatever relationship you can afford, you can walk into the door with full confidence, because all you're doing is saying, I got enough money for it, I got more money, and we're talking about energy, right? So once we have all of our energy and we have more energy to spare, we can go into the store and say, let me get this relationship here. And most people don't have that value within themselves, right? To even, or that ability to just walk into the store and say, I want to create a relationship. I do. I can build a relationship with anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because I already know that I can help out the relationship. Now, with me, I'm different because I just be kind of chilling, bicking back, being bull, because, I mean, I'm hard to find where a person can offer me something. It's more or less of trying to throw me off balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of where I feel. And then, like, my wife, she can, correct me if I'm wrong, feel like that energy is intrusive. But in my space, I don't care. I told her, did I tell you this today? I don't care what she looked like, how much money she got. If she trying to take me away from you and my children, she can go to hell, right? Because my ideology is more centered in understanding this relationship is based on balance and trying to create that and find that. Our emotions make us forget how much that person that you're involved with is committed and how much they love you. And is it sometimes that self-talk is talking to you in a way that have you actually forgetting how much you love that person? Maybe you don't, but sometimes it'll get me in that space, especially like if we're not on good terms. It's like, it ain't like we done walked to the mounds together and we done did all of these trips together and this person really love you. It's just clicky on some weird shit. And so I don't know, it's like I'm kind of jabber jawing, but I'm trying to see if there's any questions. On my channel, people don't have really questions until they get into the DMs and things of that nature.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Because you had said, you always say this, and I've been meaning to ask you what it means. You said sitting back, bick and boo.
I said bick and back,
Bick
being
and back,
bull.
Bick and bull.
So it's kicking back, being cool. But I'm like, I've been listening to a lot of YG lately, and I'm not gang affiliated, but it's just like a concept. It's a slogan. Communication in a marriage.
I was always curious, and I was like, what
kicking back, being cool. Bicking back, being bull.
Okay.
And that's just kind of saying, like, I don't be really stressing over too much nowadays.
Okay, yeah, now it makes a lot of sense. And I know I'm not the only one who did not understand what the hell you
You're like, oh man, you gotta be hip, man. You gotta come with the slang every now and again, man. And that's really some old slang, you know.
I knew it had to be old.
It's old. It's some old shit, but you know what I mean. So we do have a question. What advice can you give about communication in a marriage? For me, when I was in prison, I had the privilege of being in a recovery services program. When I was in prison, I just signed up for every fucking program because I just had a more of a learning heart and a learning spirit. And recovery services, my intentions was for joining recovery services is because it was a girl that worked there. And when I was in jail, I was just insatiable when it came to women. But I ended up learning valuable life lessons from the lady who taught it. I don't even remember her name, forgive me, but I learned 2 lessons. The first, the major lesson is in communication, but the second lesson was in tiredness and energy. She would always come into work and be like, yeah, I've been up all night doing this and doing that. And she just had energy, and I would just be like, well, how in the fuck do you do that every day? And she was like, I just don't give myself that outlet to say that I'm tired. And if I'm at work, I can't just be like, I'm tired. So, I just don't give myself that out. I don't give myself that avenue. I just stay focused. So I was like, that's really interesting. That's words to live by. That's one thing that she taught. The second thing was about communication. So in the space of a relationship, and trust me, I was on her and she was on me too. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and maybe I was delusional a little bit because, jail can do that to you. But long story short, let's lean towards I was more delusional at the end of it. But long story short, we was talking about communication, and this is one of the things that allowed me to be successful in all of my relationships that I want to be successful in, rather, is to have open and honest communication. Say it with me. Open and honest communication. And as long as you are in the realms of open and honest communication as a perpetual, authentic expression between men and women, your relationship can't fail. The moment you start having closed and dishonest non-communication, you might as well just fill out your divorce papers, because I'm not being crass and I'm not being simple. I'm being truthful, because the relationship exists on honest, open communication. Within a relationship, there's a space of contractual agreements, right, where you can actually sort out what you want with your partner. And by law, your partner has to hear you out. And if your partner doesn't hear you out, then that's what's called irreconcilable differences. That means you separate. That means you go on your own path. What's the problem that I'm speaking to? Being with somebody, not being honest, not being open, not talking, and being with them because you're not strong enough to release that bond. You really don't want to be with them. Whatever the case may be, that's keeping you chained verbally, right? The moment, what all I try to do, inspire with my wife, is to just say what the fuck she wants. Like, when I say that, it sounds real simple what I'm saying, but I'm real clear on what I want, even if I don't have it. That's kind of my superpower. Yes, I have multiple superpowers. Niggas be like, well, I thought you said such and such as your superpower last video. I'm a mutant, so I got multiple superpowers. One of my superpowers is to be in the vibration that I want to be in, whether I'm in it or not. I don't give a fuck. Me and my wife are in a space where we are, I can't even explain. I don't have a synonym or a word to describe our vibration. But how do we get here? How do we solve every problem that we ever come across? We have open and honest communication, bro. Sis, it don't matter. And when you have it, what's the chances? Like, what could happen? You could say something that will turn your wife off completely and she wants a divorce. That's when you get a fucking penthouse hotel room, invite 3 of the sexiest girls that you can think of, and you have a goddamn menage a foursome, okay? And you enjoy yourself to the highest activity because you didn't do anything wrong but express your open and honest communication. It's not who can handle it. Hey, that's not my problem. Who can handle my truth? Because my truth is going to be my truth. What happens, babe? You be like, well, you be saying some weird shit when you sleeping. I'm like, I'll be trying to say weird shit when I be up, but it don't be resonating because I'm caring about your feelings and things of that nature. When I'm sleeping, I let go of that part of me, and I'm saying the same thing that I've been saying. It's just more of a direct way.
Yep.
So,
a way that I more so understand because I'm direct.
Right.
So it's like, okay, and now
I'm an artist. More allegorical. Yep.
And but now that we're saying that, it's making more sense to the conversation we were having earlier. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just something that's within me, you know, and because it's within me. I gotta tell you, when we get off this live, be like, remember you had to tell me something about Detroit Tiger Stadium? Okay. But anyway, our ability to be completely transparent with what we have to say is our ability to be in this relationship. Because we do have troubles. We do have emotional upheavals. We do have downtimes. We do have rocky parts. We do have disagreements. We do have different parenting styles. We do have different upbringings. We do have different dichotomies when it comes to, okay, we got the bag, so what should we do with it? I feel like we should do this. No, I should feel like we should do that. So generally, we're going to have that. How do we resolve everything that I just referenced? Open and honest communication, period. It's not complicated. It's not difficult. You have to be man enough, woman enough to be authentic in your truth. See, when we get into relationships, off the rip, we lying. We ain't talking about none of our childhood trauma because maybe we don't think that the relationship gonna last in the first place. So we've learned not to give much of ourselves. But I'm saying, you trying to be a person that you're truly not is not going to allow you to grow into a relationship. The ability to be authentic and transparent with yourself and then have more of a reflective aspect. That's the deeper key into the relationship. Generally, what you're witnessing is what's going on inside of you. So what I try to reflect to my wife is what her ancestors communicate to me about her. So the moment that me and my wife got together, my life have changed in a professional type of way. But I'm older than my wife. So generally, I'm just kind of setting the stage and allowing her to kind of walk through a pathway of much more success than I'll ever accomplish, because I'm reflecting. But the hard part about what you might experience on the flip end is what your wife may be experiencing as she goes through her transformation, right? So sometimes you in a relationship and that person changes. Can you hold that space and allow them to change, or do you shower them with your expectations of how they used to be? Right? So within my wife being open and honest about the things that she's wanting as she's growing, as she's developing, where she's not completely satisfied in the role of just being the mom, right? But if in my expectations, I'm just like, mom it up, sis, get your mom together. Guess what's happening if we're not communicating what we truly desire in the space of this relationship? We're not getting our needs met. Not because I dislike her, not because she dislikes me, because we didn't get to a point yet where we were able to communicate what was authentically within ourselves that we needed to express. And we were hoping that the person that is our partner can understand our need to transform and would allow to hold the space. What does holding the space look like? Well, for me, it means to be more active with our children, more active in the things that my wife is doing, to create more space for her to begin to transform. What would be the dickhead thing to do? Say, my nigga, figure that shit out on your own. You're supposed to be a mom. So do all of this and figure it out on your own. That then becomes to be a psychosis, an anxiety, and then an overall reason for the relationship to end. Because we forget to serve our partner's change. But if we're not open and honest with, like, because I didn't know, right? I was just in my own delusion, which as a person I can be in. So then again, you gotta then understand your person that you in a relationship with could be completely the fuck delusional. What I hear a lot of times when I'm talking to people is imagining that they thinking on the same level and on the same plane as you. I would have done this. Why they ain't do that? Man, how you know that motherfucker ain't clear retarded? You know what I mean? You don't really know people. How you don't know them motherfucker going home hanging upside down, making all the blood rush to his head while doing the goddamn fucking paint can or some shit? Like, niggas be on some weird shit nowadays. These niggas be on Percocets and shit like that. You be hoping that a motherfucker do something and they be rushing to get home so they can get fucking high because they don't want you to see they fucking withdrawal systems and shit. And you just thinking that this is a cool motherfucker. No, this motherfucker is a junkie, fam. You need to serve, you know what I'm saying? You don't know much about people, bro. So you begin to, be way more less expectant of what a person is saying and more observant on, hell yeah. I always knew I wanted to be a parent when I was a child. So generally, it's not like a point of, because I was a child and I remember being with my mom. So I've always wanted to repeat that. I remember like being a baby and reaching at my grandmother's cheeks, like being like one and shit. And at that moment, I knew that I wanted to be on the other end of that. Like at that moment. So my life has been very romantic. So in the space of romance, it's been in the space of creating children, I think, and that's what I value the most out of all things. And Yeah, I knew for a fact. Did you always know you wanted to have kids?
And it's not so much as in birth kids, but just the whole mother aspect of mother children. Whether they come from me or not.
Chick's been calling me daddy since the goddamn 90s, so you know. Jokes. Sorry.
But there might be some water though. But yeah, I always knew that I wanted to be a mother in every sense that means. But what I did not realize was the mental preparation and the mental adjustments that come with it.
The education that's necessary.
Yeah. Like all the things that come with motherhood. I was not prepared for that. And that's nothing that was talked about. I don't feel that's something that is talked about. I feel like everyone praises like the goodness of motherhood, and not saying that there's anything bad, and even fatherhood. It's just, well, I can't speak for you, but I just always feel like that the similarity is that there's always a mental change that has to be made when you have children.
People real judgy when it comes to motherhood and fatherhood, so you gotta really factor that shit in how you raising your kids. Like, is you raising your kids so they can have the best experience, or are you trying to like win a fucking pageant? You feel me? And sometimes, like, I know for a fact like that shit bothers me, but then at a certain point it's like, I don't know, it's like parenting is very unique, and that it's a lot of people out here in the world, and people will have fucked up kids, right? Fucked up experiences, fucked up everything, and then will turn around and be like, you really need to do your shit like this. You hear what I said? Like, that be the craziest shit to me. And the reason why it's so crazy is because they can literally put a spell on you by doing that. Because they take their fucked up energy and notice that you're not going in the path of fucked upness, and be like, yo, you going in the wrong direction. You raising free, independent spirits when you need to be raising locked down, effeminate, fucked up, traumatic, psychologically impaired, prison to school to prison pipeline motherfuckers. You doing it all wrong, right? You trying to create people, young men, warriors, spiritual healers that's trying to change the planet. You can't do that. So they might easily throw darts at you. And if you don't understand that being a black man and being with a black woman is a revolutionary act to raise your family and do everything that you need to do to raise your family. I don't even know where it cut off at. But what I was saying is, where? No, I don't think that's the one.
That thing is gold.
Oh, here we go.
Can babies get sick?
Wow. My dad always told me stories about him and his crab. At 41 years old, I never believed him. My husband always knew he wanted to be a father. I never imagined marriage or children. I always thought about myself for the longest. I had my daughter. That's exactly why I haven't spoken to my mother in 3 months. I got an intense urge to stay away of help from my own mama, my whole family. Listen, like, when you make a spiritual journey, right, and you don't live up to society standards, and as long as nobody say shit, you cool, right? But if motherfuckers decide to throw stones on you, even though they ain't perfect, even though they go through hell, but they can still throw stones on you because you allow yourself to open yourself up to certain people, like your mom and dad and family and shit. You let yourself be a little bit vulnerable, because at the end of the day, we are all transforming. We all are in our cocoon phase, aka COVID-19. But when we are going through these cocoon phases, like the fact that you build a business from the ground up, the fact that you able to do all of these particular things that, you know, don't show up on the stat sheet, but you personally feel like, damn, I've overcame some shit that I never even thought that I would overcome before, but I'm actually living in the space of overcoming some shit. And I'm happy about that shit. But guess what happened though? Your family is not going to give a fuck about none of that shit. What are they going to do? They're like fucking heat-seeking missiles for your soft spot, right? And once they find that bitch, that's when they gonna blow that motherfucker up, because that's their motherfucking reality. They see the direction that you're heading. They see that you're heading towards greatness, and they realize the mistakes that they made. The fact that they didn't build their business up. The fact that they devoted so much time and energy into the American dream, or the fact that they just never gave a fuck about their health, right? They never cared about their health. We always had the choice to take care of our health, to reduce our diets, to do all it. Like, it's so much shit. They never thought that they had to read up to 10 books a year to gain a particular viewpoint of the world. We got ancestors, we got elders that really feel like what they think is right and exact. But when we become the observer of the matrix, we begin to see that everybody's thoughts are not their own thoughts. They're a result of propaganda. They're a result of emotionalism. There is a result of separating souls. That's the name of the game. So why is relationships so important to us? Because it's by far the most profound act that you can actually commit in the society, because everything that I experience is an assault on my relationship.
That movie just made sense.
What movie?
Soul.
So it's an attack to keep you away from certain things and certain realities, and never break away against certain barriers. Because within our ideologies, we really feel like the attainment of fiat currency, which all of that is an exchange, an ability to exchange, to which we can build up our skills and our abilities and barter our skills and our abilities. Because it's a lot of people who have money, but they don't have no skill, or they don't have no ability in real life. So if the computer grid was to shut off, a lot of people wouldn't know how to actually survive out here. And that's what is actually happening. We got all of this nature. We got all of this abundance. And we don't give a fuck about it. We only give a fuck about what we see on our computer screen. Motherfuckers don't even be in the streets no more, and maybe people be going through their cocoon phase or whatever, but I mean, you don't stay in your cocoon forever either. And once you get out here on these streets, it's back to the normal thing. It's back to getting out here and relating. So your ability to relate is by far your most powerful ability, and generally it is still sharper than steel, you know. And you gotta really work hard at it, you know. I don't know how you got to them questions. Oh, how you do that? Oh, I see. But yeah, if there is any questions, let us know and we'll answer to the best of our ability. We don't profess to be relationship experts, but we find so much power in our relationship. And when we go to events and things of that nature, we see a lot of single ladies out there, like in real life, you feel me? But perfect though, like in spirit, and in ability and in love, you know? And to me, I find that we could do a lot of different things in life, but can we manifest a relationship in the space of all of the cool shit that we doing? Why is the manifestation of a relationship such a hard thing? And for me, I feel like you put your cart before the horse, you put your cart before the horses, and you put your emotions before your mental, and you don't build a mental rapport and keep that actual balance and maintain that balance. And what we were talking about in our last live, which I think is very important, we were talking about a lot of things, but I think was very important is postmortem depression and how it oh goodness gracious,
that sounded right.
Rosary cross, you know, assalamu alaikum, namaste. I didn't mean to say it like that. Postpartum depression and how it relates to relationships. Do you feel like that's a thing, or I'm tripping or tweaking?
No, I personally feel it is a thing. I feel it's something that no one recognizes.
How long does postpartum depression last?
I don't know. I think it varies.
Good answer.
No, I really think it varies if it goes unchecked or not.
Right.
And it doesn't have to happen right after the baby's born. It can happen a month, 2 months in, because especially for a first-time mom, it's your first baby. Everything's new the first 30 days for real. So like the adrenaline and the energy from the newness is still there. But once that starts to wear off and you haven't gotten sleep, that's when the postpartum depression comes in. That's when.
How dark is that? Like, cause I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the outside looking in. How dark of a period is, like, when you're in the depths of postpartum depression, how dark could it be, and how valuable is a partner in those particular situations?
For me, it got very dark. And I've heard of people who have said it got dark for them as well. What the hell does this person set up the winter for? And I honestly know for a fact, like, I don't know how far I would be right now if I didn't have you as a partner. And it's not to say if I didn't have a partner, but particularly you, because you held the space open for me to be able to express how I'm feeling, and not just saying, oh, it's in your head. Even if that's what you felt.
I never know that.
I know that, but I'm just saying you never let it be known. And it's funny, the license plate is 823. You never let it be known. But you, excuse me. You held that space open and you let me talk about it. And I feel like that's a lot of people don't get to have someone that they're able to talk about it with, as in their partner and not a therapist. Because for me, I don't know about anybody else, but it can get really dark, and it's like I feel like I'm just now coming out of that darkness, and Jesse is 5 months. I mean, it's 6 months, and it's like, am I clear and free? No, I'm not clear and free yet. Am I working to that? Yes. Are we working towards that? Yes. So I feel like it is extremely important to have someone who is there for you and who's able to hold that space open.
I don't want anything. I'm good.
But I did want to say something. Someone had asked a question about communicating in a marriage, and I wanted to say that it's not a place to argue and to yell and scream. If you feel you have to yell and scream, go outside and yell and scream, and then come back. Because you can't be rational when you're sitting there yelling and screaming. So that would be, to add on top of what you were saying, my 2 cents on communication. because that's one thing that me and you have not done, is yell and scream at each other. And I thank you for that, because you have always brought me back. You're like, what we're not going to do. You don't say it like that, but it's just you kind of bring me back to center. And I feel like that's one key thing that you need in a partner, is someone who can bring you back to center. I hope people can hear me, because I know.
Yeah, they can hear you fine. Because when I was listening to it, you can hear it okay. But yeah, that shit whack as fuck. If you with somebody and that person you arguing with them, you need to take a step away from that relationship and reevaluate your space, because it's never, if you're the arguer or you're getting argued down, that shit is not how relationships work. And if you wasting your time with a person that's going to argue with, or you feel compelled to raise your voice at, then you need to reevaluate the whole shit. I don't care how many kids you got, I don't care how deep y'all in it, step away. Because understand, a relationship should be just like a fucking going to a goddamn 7-Eleven. Why you give the goddamn clerk at 7-Eleven no smoke? You give them all smiles. Can I get a pack of Newport 100s and a Slurpee? You feel me? And everything is 100, right? But then you want to go home and tell your husband or your man or your girl or your wife that they got to kiss your ass. Well, why you don't carry that energy all around? You know, because generally you want to have a pleasant experience. Now, if you treat your relationship like a business, it's a part of business called customer service. Right. But within that is the customer is always right. And there's outbound customer service and there's inbound customer service. Meaning that the relationships that you build within culture is a service as well. And your mentality towards how you treat the people that you in a relationship with, that you value, is the end all be all to the success of the relationship. Now, if you going to, so say for instance, you buy in a club or you buy in a store, and you like, this pussy so good that this store gonna be successful. Do that make sense? The sex that I'm gonna have is going to make this business be successful. Now, depending on the business, yeah. But generally, your ability to build rapport, your ability to get really in depth with the person, so you could get like the full gist of what they want and satisfying that need, right? You satisfy that core primal need, right? And from there, you're able to be successful. What do you do though? You understand what they need. You take the time to understand exactly what your partner needs. And both people do that, you have a successful relationship. That's balance. When one person doing it more than the next, when you give it more than you receiving, you out of balance. You know what lets you know before the partnership? Your body. Your body already tell you who you're supposed to be with. Your body will just kind of not respond and react to certain energy. And then vice versa, it'll respond to a person that is exciting you. That's what get into the DMs and things of that nature. I gotta see you tonight, because your body responding to that person's energy. Hopefully that makes sense. Any more questions? Yeah, look it up, man. Inbound customer service. It's a thing. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And your ability to relate in 2021 is your ability to be successful. And what do I mean by relating? There are so many people who have been working for the past 20 to 30 years that have not learned anything in reference to anything. They only know their job. But a lot of jobs got ended in 2020. In 2021, people are seeking new skills. People are seeking new value. And the most important value and the most important skill is that which is intrinsic. The reason why intrinsic skills and intrinsic values is because they're transferable and you can learn as many things as your brain can handle. If you're able to do it, you will be successful. But your ability to learn is your ability to be balanced. The problem with going to school when you're 18, 19, 20, 21 is your pH is not in balance. Your prefrontal cortex isn't even fully developed yet. So that's why a lot of men struggle in college more than women, because women advance younger, much more mature, and able to handle the workload. So when you do the statistics on 65% black women graduating college versus 36% black men, and excuse me for my error, you then will understand that we're not even ready for college at 18. Biologically. Meaning that we're not even... You ever kicked it with an 18 or 19-year-old for real? You ever just caught a vibe with them? You see how fucking jittery it is? You know what I'm saying? And then, whatever on their mind, right? They might have some earphones in, or they might be thinking about a boy or a girl, and you try to talk some sense into them, it's like they can't even input the shit. So sometimes I get readings for people that's 18, 19, 20, and I'm like, yo, you are the truth, right? Because I know what it's like to kick it with an 18, 19-year-old person, and then it's different levels. And it's all about your ability to relate. When you're able to articulate yourself, when you're able to listen to a person, when you develop these skills, you become a value, you become an asset. Because we live in a world with so many people who are non-receptive, that whatever you decide to do, you will be successful, because you will be the one that'll listen and respond in a world of people who are just pure automatons. So when it comes to relating, when it comes to being in a relationship, your ability to listen, your ability to respond off of wanting to make that person happy to have a successful business will allow you to always be in a successful relationship. When you think that the relationship is all about you, where you just open up a business and only thing you sell is the shit that you want, right? And then you mad that don't nobody come in there and buy fucking just Newports and Sprite. Motherfucker come in there and want Coca-Cola, want goddamn orange soda. You like, we don't fucking sell that. We only like Sprite in here. And we only smoke Newport 100s. That logic makes you unrelatable. And so you got to get into that space of being more relatable. How do you slow a relationship that has moved quickly, organically? You don't. Unless you just end the relationship. If a relationship moves quickly and it moves organically, and we move quickly and organically, then that just means that you are in spirit. So it's like the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. When you find that fucking magic bean, you able to climb to the fucking heavens. You understand what I'm saying? Your relationship is different. You know, I am because she is, and I stand on that shit. For which I do anything for her happiness and for her joy. So generally, when you're in a relationship where a man cares about your emotional balance, then that's the person that you need to stick with. Because generally, most men only care about themselves. But I don't know how it's manifesting, I would have to be a little bit more clear on that. If your partner is not as spiritually or intellectually inclined as you, does that mean you're not evenly yoked? No, not necessarily. Because I'm not even like, this is gonna sound crazy, but it's not many people, and this is not a flex either, because I wish that I was more physical. I wish that I could be a little bit more in the physical realm, because I would be more successful. I would dress nicer. I would have my shit would be way more together. You feel me? If I was more in the physical realm. But I would never be in a relationship if I was looking for somebody that was as spiritual as me. That's not a flex, that's not a boast, that's not a brag, because I really sincerely wish I was a little bit more balanced with my physical nature. Because I would present myself a million times more better if I went to school in like fucking 7th grade, meaning I should have knew better. I don't know what I was wearing, like, and motherfucker had to like literally throw like a blanket over me and rush me to the office and give me some clothes. And it was like my dad let me just come out the house like that. I was completely out of touch. I've always felt like an alien. And we gonna end this because we almost home, but I'll answer this question. If you are deeply spiritual, I mean, you have to get a reading, not by me. I'm not saying you have to get a reading by me, but you have to get a reading and somebody confirming what you already know or don't know. When you get an accurate reading and it speaks to your soul, and that person is just speaking from your soul to you,
And not asking you questions.
and not asking you questions and trying to be a psychic of the year, they're just channeling your soul to you, they'll let you fucking know. They let me know. Because before this, I was confused about this shit. They like, you got a lot of spiritual energy. So from there, I started this channel, and I began to make it more of my life of helping people understand their spiritual journey and their spiritual path. Because it was a natural energy for me. But it's like, if I was 7 foot tall, and then it would say, do you have to be in a relationship? All right, babes, we almost there. We almost there. Almost there. I know. And we're going to end this because we're there. And like I said, 30 to 45 minutes. But just because you're spiritual, like I tell this to everybody, every girl that I do a reading for. If you're a spiritual girl, don't get with a spiritual guy. They'll ruin your fucking life. Get a fucking D-boy. Get a lit ass dude out here. Like, enjoy your fucking life. Don't get a spiritual dude that you're gonna struggle with. If you're not as spiritual, get a spiritual guy. He'll balance you out.
Because I wasn't spiritual when
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And it's not a diss or a flex. And I feel like you learn from yourself. And I'm not even here to teach you. You know, I'm just holding that space so you can learn from your higher self, from your soul. So, there's one more question. How do you slow down? Do you guys always know you wanted to be parents? No, I think that was, that was it. That was it. So that was a quick Q&A. Probably once we get the kids settled, we'll do another one, part 3.
Might do a late night.
Do a late night ride or something like that. You never know with us. We got a problem with sitting still, if y'all can't tell. But we done pulled up to the Brib, and we about to big back and be boo. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Peace.
What?